This one's kind of forgettable. Do you want me to do the secret level?
What?
I can go
cool.
there too.
Yeah, you guys take it anywhere you want to go. JP, did you make
Yeah, you're just gonna edit
your stuff with you?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah.
So yeah, so that's one of those. That's a really interesting. Like if you're a really good deathmatcher and you know that people would do that, then you have to have
Hide
that
off
as part
to
of
the
your
left.
strategy.
Yeah.
So that happened in Quake, like at DM3 a lot.
Yep.
Where you would force somebody into the teleporter under the stairs,
Yep.
and you knew that like you could get into an area where you can like force them to go under there, and knowing that when they teleport over here, they're gonna take a right. So you shoot a rocket over here,
Yep.
and they're gonna run right into it.
Yep.
You know. So just the way the geometry of the level worked out, it was that strategy worked pretty well.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, and I guess like map 1, Doom 2 map 1 and E1 M1 both go off to the right. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think heretics. Let me think. Yeah, you kind of start out going straight. Yeah, it does go to the right.
Yeah.
Heretics goes right too.
Yeah.
We're victims. As level designers, we're also victims of right-handedness. I'm left-handed, so I don't fall for that. No, like you run into a room full of guys. But that sight sound is the sight sound is like so important.
Yeah.
Which
absolutely,
was we did that in Wolfenstein. Even though in Keen, we could have done it in Keen. It wasn't really a big thing in Keen as much as it was in Wolfenstein.
Yeah, it's just knowing about off-screen enemies. Like in Wolf, you'd hear like a bunch of guards holler.
Yeah, Schustaffel.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit. Okay, I heard him over there. You know? But yeah, so we can kind of like there were the way that sound triggers. Like, so we also worried about sound in the game. Like sound needed to start problems, right? Like you make a sound and it's gonna flood fill.
Yep.
And so we basically did sector flood filling with sound. So when you shot inside of a sector, we found the bounding sectors, and if there were two-sided lines, we'd flood through them.
Yep.
If it was a closed door, then it wouldn't. So we looked and saw if there was height open or not.
Yep.
Which is why in this level there's a little pipe.
Yeah, that's
the
sound pipe.
Right, because if that was even if that was a two-sided line and it was closed, we would not have triggered it.
Yep.
Because we looked for a height, and if there's a little opening, sound goes through it into the room.
Totally.
So we did that through windows, and everything got flooded out, and so it was great because we could design a level and know that like you're gonna shoot here and it's gonna trigger all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And so you have to be careful with sound as well. In Wolfenstein, the way that we did it was we had a different plane. It was a different plane of the map that was just for sound.
Yep.
And so what we did was we drew inside of a room a certain color. Didn't matter what the color was. It was just a color. And then the hall next to it, or the hallways or whatever next to it, were a different color. And so the doorway was the thing that when you opened up a door, it connected those colors. It changed the color that you were going to look at kind of into the same color as where you came from. And so they both became the same color if the door was open. When the door closes, it goes back to its own color. And so it's a different sound zone.
Right.
So you open it up and now you're in the same sound zone. And so if you shoot, if you open a door and you shoot, it's going to go into the hall and around the whole hallway and everything.
Yeah. And that kind of controls like you didn't have any scripting in Wolf, but you could kind of control who would come at you at a given point from that. Yeah.
So
I did a little bit of
sound
Wolfenstein
zoning.
editing back in the day, and I remember using
That's
like
hard
that
to
editor
do.
that's Well, it was map edit. There was only one editor, I think. But it all ran on the same screen. You had like your palette of all the tiles you could pick and all the objects, and then just the view of the entire level, because it was like it looked like a Pac-Man maze.
Totally.
So yeah.
But yeah, that was so that was where we did sound. That was our first sound flood fill kind of thing.
Yeah.
We didn't do that in Keen at all. So it was Wolfenstein that started it. Then with Doom, it's like, how do we do the same thing?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to flood through two-sided lines.
Yep.
So we did it there, and then Quake was basically similar to the same thing, but more with BSP.
Right.
But one of the things that I'm always thinking, level like game tech was usually happened because of what I want to see in the level. Like what I want to see as I play.
Yep.
Let's program that into the engine.
Yep. Yeah.
So like
the one that the sound pipe secret trap that you use in here, like that's that's the first time that anybody teleports in,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And yeah, like I remember that I played this and that sprung on me, and then I was like, how did they do, how did they do that? And so I used NoClip and found that sound pipe. I was like, wait a minute, and then like found this little room, and I was like, well, the player can't get here, right?
Nope.
And then I opened up the Doom editor and used that, and like.
And then you finally basically find out, oh, so they come towards you.
Yeah.
Right. So there's sound, and the simple AI is like they're going to come towards you, and there's a teleporter at the end of the room, right?
Yep.
So they're just going to all teleport in one after another.
Yeah.
And so that was like, how do I use what I have to do something new without reprogramming?
Yep.
Which is really funny because that's how Death Tag was created. Was here are the things that we have in a multiplayer game.
Yeah.
How can I use that to create a new kind of game?
Yeah.
And so
sure.
It was really, really cool. And so like playing the game, and seeing like, I want this to happen. This would be really cool to happen at this point. How can we do that? Can I do it with what I got, or do I need John to program something else, or can I just program it?
Yeah.
Like when that slime came up and changed textures, I just programmed that because it was easy to get that data.
Cool. Yeah.
But like when so on E1M2, at the very beginning of the level, there's you start out and you see that block in front of you that you can kind of go through it and around it and all that. That used to be not there. That was actually not there, and it was an octagonal stairway that just went down, and there was a pillar in the center.
Okay.
And so that octagonal stairway was recursive in the engine's rendering because it was an octagon of stairs within stairs, kind of.
Yeah.
And so the way that he before BSP, he was using a thing called a sector list. So he just traversed the list, but then he kind of went back into it, because back inside the same sector as you're looking out. So it made the engine really chuggy.
Right.
And so I was just like, look what I did, and he's just like, I have to fix it. He knew that there was going to be a problem, and I made it happen really quickly.
Yep.
And so that's where he started researching. And so that was another, like, I'm going to do something in the level, and that's going to mess things up, obviously. But it would be cool to have this in there. And so that's why BSP exists, is because E1M2, I did something stupid in there that would look cool.
Level designers creating problems.
Yeah, and then here's a tech that everybody can use,
Yeah. I mean, BSP trees, like that's how,
everything.
Yeah.
And he could have found something else. He was reading a white paper by Bruce Naylor from I think it was Bell Labs or AT&T, who created that algorithm. And he was in Bruce Naylor was creating like a culling algorithm for backface culling on models. So if you see a 3D model, how do I not draw the back faces?
Yeah.
I want this to be super fast. So he came up with this BSP algorithm to cull out those back polys. And so John saw that and went, I can do it for levels.
Yeah.
And so that's how he changed that algorithm for levels.
Yeah.
And so there's another thing that I haven't seen a game do that I wanted to put in Quake. Holy shit. That's sometimes hard to find that one. And so like we, in making these games, we have triggers. Triggers do all kinds of stuff. Wolfenstein, I don't think had triggers in it. This was the first game to have these triggers that you like walk across and then shit happens. And so we were doing all kinds of things, like lots of traps, lots of really cool stuff. But then it was like, I want some other triggers. So when we were making Quake, I came up with the idea of having a visual trigger that has nothing to do, well, it's a trigger that you place in the world, and everything, all the triggers in Quake were brush triggers, right?
Yep.
But I wanted a special brush trigger that would only trigger when that brush was in your field of view.
Yeah, okay, yep.
So if I stick like a monster there that's hooked up to this, it knows that it can only be triggered by this being viewed.
Yep.
So it'd be a monster like waiting there in the dark or whatever, and you're just like looking around and you're like, what's over there? What the, and you could have walked right past it and nothing happens.
Yep.
But then you like look over there and then red eyes and you're done, right? So but nobody's done that yet.
Yeah.
And it's such an easy idea, and it's already in technology right now.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. Actually, we did.
There's some visual triggers just for visual stuff, right? Like lens flares or whatever. Or?
Well, yeah. Like on BioShock, actually, on the BioShock level that I worked on, I actually talked to one of our programmers to get view triggers. Those kinds of triggers.
So what was the definition of it? Was it FOV or?
Yeah, well, it was. It was really just doing vector math to be like, this has to be this close to the player's look normal, so it's a look vector. So it's just like okay, the view trigger's in the room here, and then like as soon as
it hits,
when you're doing a dot product, it's really going to be like kind of like within this close to the center of your field of view. So you make it, you kind of want to tune it to be like sort of generous, so that it's like, because sometimes you just want something to happen out of the corner of somebody's eye, and so you make that value big.
Right.
It's ultimately just like a dot product or something.
Yeah, you probably could have, depending on the distance and all that kind of stuff, you probably could have just said all 4 points or whatever have to be in the field of view. Because that'll get you close enough to the center or whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, this was probably the last level in it. Next to the E1M one, this was like that. I went back and did a lot of tweaking on the E1M one, but this one was I'm going to make the whole level kind of thing. So this was the last, I'm making the whole level.
Right. Yeah.
It was like right after E1M7, and Sandy made E1M8 because he didn't have anything to do. So I'm just like, can you make E1M8?
Yeah.
And because I'm working on 9 right now, so he went and did E1M8, and because I'm like, well, that's gonna be really different looking anyway, totally different.
Yeah, for the boss.
It'll have it'll have a little bit of stuff in there at the beginning.
Yeah.
But then it's gonna be like kind of wacky because you're out on Phobos, so he can go ahead and make something like that.
Yeah.
Let me see. Yeah, this is So this one's got a lot of.
Yeah, this is just like a 4-pointed star, basically, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah. Let me see.
Or
it's a big square basically. It's like 9 pieces.
Yeah.
And it has those cool lower.
I think off to the left is that teleport ambush.
It's in the there it is. It's in the star.
Yeah,
it's right there. Yeah. So this song was actually. Yeah, there it is. So this song is I think it's the intermission song.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool right there. Just like what?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah, just those guys come in, and it's like it's like the pentagram on the floor that they're being summoned from.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah, and then luring the player in there.
And they're always coming this way because this is the way to get to the player.
Yep.
It's just one after another.
Yep.
I think that I think out of all the levels that I made in Doom, I really like 5 and 7. Those are like my favorites. My favorite 2 levels.
Okay. Yeah.
It's so funny. The little pipe is up there. You can't really see it right now. And it's just like a dead end here.
Yeah.
That's nice for health. There's pentagrams and health. Yellow door. Is it this one? Yellow thing.
There's a secret behind those barrels, right? Or maybe that's the way out.
That's the way out. That's the way out from the.
That's right. Yeah.
From up here.
Yeah.
So it must have been the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this is the outdoor area. This is really where you get.
Yeah, those guys up on those.
Auto aim is really nice in here.
Yeah. Oh. And it was your style. Like you kind of discovered mouse and keyboard playing, right? Like WASD.
That was in Wolfenstein.
Yeah.
So when we were making Wolfenstein, it was all about using the mouse.
Yeah.
Because to me, it was like every other game used the keyboard.
Yeah.
And I'm using the mouse, and it's not hard to use both together.
Right.
So, and giving people options to like be able to do both of them, and not just like make it so you have to always use the mouse and keyboard. You know? So to me, it seemed like a nice optional thing to code.
Totally. Yeah.
And then another layer.
Oh yeah.
And those guys fight. Yeah, I like those multi-layer things. Here's a layer of bad guys. Oh, there's another one. Ha.
Yeah.
Oh, this was the door into that from here. So yeah, that was the red door. Ooh, it's over here. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, red doors. Yeah, it's down there.
Oh, it's the other side. There we go. Yeah. Shoot, one of those things. In Doom 2, I really like 26, level 26 a lot. Oh yeah, that was funny. Flip it. Yeah, that was the abandoned mines.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, that starts off with that lift.
Yeah,
that takes you down.
and you get to see down, and there's a guy over to the right. And that room that you're in has so much stuff going on in it that you don't know about yet.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But that was one of those. That was like the culmination of, just all the level design stuff.
Yeah.
And E4 M2 was a how fast can I make a real level, and I'm going to make it really hard. And E4 M6. Against the Wickedly was really like this is my last big level. I'm gonna make a really huge level.
Yep. Yeah, and that one definitely has like sort of like a story structure, because it builds
you start out in the mountains
with the Cyber Demon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Cyber Demon's at the end of the room that you have to go in these little areas all over the place and finally get to that guy.
Yeah.
Let's see. So I have the last blue card, which is the exit
channel.
Oh, really? Let's see.
Nice. Yeah. I like how there's nothing that tells you that you have to jump into the nukage there, but it's just
you just got to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. Let me out. I don't want to die.
That opens, and there's more enemies there. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting how they work out. Like, they're not as bad as they seem like they are, because they're like a wall in front of you, and no one else can hit you at the same time, because they take it in the back. Yeah. So they're not as bad as you think.
Yeah.
They're actually good when there's imps in the room.
Yeah,
that's something that's shoot them in the back.
That's something that's just like really, really missing from
infighting.
From modern is like infighting, and also just like knowing how to use different monsters against each other, but also like, all right, I'm going to take out these hit scanners who are far away first because they're just going to whittle me down. Yeah. And then I can worry about the things that are throwing fireballs that I can keep dodging.
Yeah, and those are timed and everything.
Yeah. And then like if there's a bigger enemy like a Baron or somebody, I can actually save them for later because
or just get them mad.
Yeah, exactly.
On that one level that Sandy made, where the room is full of like Cyber Demon and then the Barons, and there's a room full of Barons.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
And
map
fight.
Yep, totally. Yeah.
So that was really, really cool.
Tricks and traps.
Yeah, that was such a good level.
Yeah,
I liked playing those levels